I am really shocked by the way some unpatriotic Nigerians have gone on social media, misrepresenting IshowSpeed's visit to Nigeria and using it to project a negative image of their very own country, while attempting to spoil what was a good narrative of a very successful visit. First of all, IshowSpeed never said or implied that Nigeria is smelly. The young man perhaps achieved his most successful stream during his African tour in Nigeria, reaching a milestone of 50 million YouTube subscribers whilst in our dearly beloved country. He is the first black streamer to achieve that milestone, and it occurred in Nigeria, boosted by Nigerian subscribers appreciative of his visit. What these few unpatriotic Nigerians, who have a grudge against their own country, fed by a separatist agenda, have done is take a screenshot of a particular stream where Mr. Darren Jason Watkins Jr. made a face for a few seconds, which he often does all over the world, upon citing something interesting and peculiar. Using that snapshot, they painted a false narrative claiming that Lagos is smelly and that Darren Jason Watkins Jr., aka IshowSpeed, did not enjoy his time there and found nothing interesting or cultural to do. Sadly, their claims have gone wildly viral. In fact, as evidenced by his streams and media coverage, IshowSpeed had perhaps the most eventful moments of his Speed Does Africa tour in Nigeria, which is why he chose to spend his 21st birthday in our country. He drew his biggest crowds here and was so impressed by that he testified about it. He had gastronomical and cultural experiences, including visiting Freedom Park and eating the world-famous Nigerian jollof rice, which he raved about. Thereafter, he had a belated Dirty December moment by interacting with street dancers in a carnival-like manner, and had intermittent encounters and conversations with street performers, including a man whose physical strength he celebrated after attempting and failing to match his iron-bending skills. IshowSpeed also enjoyed Nigerian couture when he got to wear the special Nigerian hat, known as a fila, made in Nigeria entirely from made-in-Nigeria fabric. Something that I have been promoting worldwide. His decision to blend in culturally with Nigerians through fashion made him so excited that he asked street vendors and onlookers whether he looked Nigerian. And on his 21st birthday, IshowSpeed was surrounded by schoolchildren in their school uniforms, singing the famous Happy Birthday song to him, almost bringing him to tears. At Freedom Park, IshowSpeed interacted with various Lagos street performers, who taught the quick learner several dance steps particularly suited to the Nigerian music genre of Afrobeats that has taken the world by storm. IshowSpeed then visited the Nike Art Gallery in Lekki, where the management feted him and gifted him a traditional Lukumi Yoruba outfit, which left him in awe. Mr. Watkins next met Afrobeat singer Zlatan Ibile, who surprised him with a birthday cake, prompting IshowSpeed to shockingly reveal that that was the first birthday cake he had ever received. Hard to believe, his time in Nigeria has become one of the most discussed pop culture moments of the year so far, and he was so pleased with Nigeria that one of the first things Abubakar Malami, a former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation who was in office from November 2015 till May 2023 when the then President Muhammadu Buhari completed his 8 years tenure in office, under which courts of competent jurisdiction granted several detained Nigerians bail, but the Buhari government refused to release them and even rearrested some of them after they had perfected their bail conditions. The then Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, who was saddled with the responsibility of protecting citizens' rights, came out openly and apparently justified the violations of court orders by the then Buhari-led government, and during the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, Abubakar Malami frequently defended the actions of the government's refusal to obey court's orders of bail granted to high-profile individuals by asserting that national security and public interest superseded individual rights. Some of the high-profile individuals included Colonel Sambo Dasuki, the former National Security Advisor in the era of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who was held for 4 years from December 2015 to December 2019, despite being granted bail by at least 4 different Nigerian high courts and the ECOWAS court. He was repeatedly rearrested by the Department of State Services, DSS, immediately after fulfilling bail conditions, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakaki and his wife Zina, detained from December 2015 until they were released in July 2021, were refused bail after federal court declared the detention illegal in 2016 and ordered their release by January 2017, but the government under which Abubakar Malami was a justice minister did not comply, until they were eventually acquitted of all charges by a Kaduna State High Court in 2021. Also, Omiyele Sowore, an activist and a journalist who is the founder of Sahara Reporters News Media, remained in DSS custody for several months in 2019 despite fulfilling bail conditions set by Justice Ijeoma Ojukwu. He was rearrested within the courtroom just 24 hours after a temporary release. Nnamdi Kanu, the convicted and jailed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB leader, was refused bail during his initial trial in 2015. President Buhari then publicly stated during a media chat that Kanu, among others, would not be allowed to go on bail due to the nature of their alleged crimes, despite court rulings. In addition, was Navy Captain Dada Labinjo, who was detained by the Nigeria military from September 2018 until at least late 2019. Despite a federal high court order for his release, and during these periods, Abubakar Malami provided several justifications for these detentions. Most notably during his 2019 ministerial screening, Malami stated that the office of the AGF is meant to protect the public interest, and, where the individual interest conflicts with the public interest, the interest of 180 million Nigerians must naturally prevail. He cited the Supreme Court case of Asari Dokubo versus Federal Republic of Nigeria, arguing, it established that national security could supersede personal liberty in specific contexts, and when Dasuki and Sowore were finally released in December 2019, Nigeria military authority has confirmed the death of 5 soldiers and 1 police officer in an ambush launched by terrorists on Monday at Gidan Wagni area of Zamfara state. The incident may be a reminder of incessant cases of high rates of Nigeria losing its soldiers and other security operatives in ambush, especially as observed as a worsening situation in the year 2025, with the ambush of army barracks and killing of the men of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, AFN, by terrorists in large number began as early as January 2025. It may be recalled that in January 2025, terrorists launched an attack on the 149 Battalion in Malam Fatori, Borno State, leading to the killing of over 20 military personnel, including a battalion commander and senior officers. Within the first quarter, a careful review of news reports showed that more than 100 Nigeria soldiers were reportedly killed in the first quarter of 2025 by terrorists, mostly in ambush. In June 2025, terrorists' attacks on 3 army bases in central and northwestern Nigeria resulted in the killing of at least 17 soldiers. And in September 2025, a major ambush on the Baga-Maiduguri road was reported, where at least 40 soldiers were killed and 65 went missing. While in October 2025, at least 4 soldiers were killed in a Boko Haram ambush in Borno State, while another encounter in Kumshe resulted in 1 soldier killed, and by November 2025, the Nigerian army confirmed the death of Brigadier General Musa Uba and 2 other soldiers following an ambush by ISWAP terrorists near Wajiroko town in Borno State, which some local media reported that several soldiers were killed during the ambush. Even some of the local media stated that those who escaped the ambush, like the Brigadier General, were traced and killed by the terrorists apparently after hours of no rescue or prompt reinforcement by the Nigeria military authority. According to Captain David Adewusi, the media information officer of Operation Fansanyama, the 5 soldiers and the police officer were killed while the troops were returning from a successful operation and responding to a distress call of terrorists' attack in a community in Zamfara state. In his words, Captain David Adewusi said, "Troops of Operation Fansanyama, OPFY, Joint Task Force Northwest, have demonstrated exceptional bravery, professionalism, and resilience following a terrorist ambush along the Bingi-Kekan-Waje-Gusau Road in Zamfara State on the 19th of January 2026. The ambush followed a series of successful offensive operations conducted from 17th to the 19th of January 2026, when troops of Sector 2 OPFY, in conjunction with the OPFY Mobile Strike Team and DIA Tactical Support Team, carried out coordinated raids, ambushes, and fighting patrols across Bernan Magaji and Anka areas of Zamfara State. During these operations, 3 suspects, Isio Kwakwatawa, Ibrahim Dan Musulu, and Makau Lambagoma, were arrested, while 4 terrorists were neutralized and others fled into the forest. Items recovered included 1 PKT machine gun, 5 AK-47.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.